Mario Barrios weighs in at 146.2 pounds. 146.2.
146.8 pounds for
the weight class I belong in. This is the one I feel the most comfortable, so excited to start my journey at 147.
A toda mi gente mexicano que está aquí. Viva la raza! But yeah, no, this is huge for me, for my career. Yeah, man, I'm excited to step into tomorrow.
Best of luck.
Chaos erupts as Ryan Garcia almost fights with Mario Barrios at final weigh-in, and suddenly the calm monk mode narrative around Ryan gets cracked open by pure fight week electricity.
I've already said it all, I've done it all, and now I'm just ready to kick ass. I'm going there and just this man up. You don't understand. I'm gonna him up. You don't know what I've been training like. You don't know the vision I have. You do not know I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'll break this whole thing right now. That's how I'm firing. I'm strong. I'm strong. I'm strong. Strong. And I'm louder than that whole team. They got like 5 people there. Look how loud. Woo! We couldn't hear you, bitch.
1 second it's a stare down, next second the tension looks like it might spill over, and you can feel that invisible line between promotion and real emotion getting dangerously thin.
And I feel like people are overlooking that aspect. Like, do you feel like people are vastly overlooking your experience coming into this fight?
They might be, but you know, it doesn't make a difference of what's gonna happen, you know, come fight night.
How does a dominant performance against Ryan look like?
Just making him uncomfortable, you know, just exploiting, you know, his weaknesses, which I think he has a lot in his fighting style. Not saying he's not dangerous, you know, not saying that, you know, there isn't things that he's really great at. I just know that I'm a better fighter.
Then you rewind to the press conference and the verbal chess match was already heating the room. Ryan talking with that cold confidence, basically framing Barrios as just the opponent, while hinting he's coming in stronger, sharper, and fully reborn.
I just think that I'm one of those guys that I will just beat him, and I just think that everybody thinks he's just some savant in the ring, and I'm just here to take that away. That's pretty much what it is. They thought Devin Haney was the same way. He's unbeatable. That's what Eddie Hearn said, right? And then went and beat his ass. Same thing with Shakur. I know people are saying he's pound for pound, this and that, but I don't see it. He gonna have to prove it. I beat him in the amateurs. I'll beat him again, and I will hurt him. You don't understand me? Like, I will humble him in ways that he's never been humbled before.
And Barrios firing back in a completely different tone. Calm, dismissive, almost amused, like antics don't win fights, execution does. That contrast alone is cinematic. Ryan's energy felt like ignition, Barrios felt like containment. One is a loud belief, the other is quiet certainty.
Anyways, we did been doing some research for Mario. He fought Keith Thurman with 10-ounce gloves. We don't want that. We want 8-ounce.
What's that?
Keith Thurman, he fought him with 10-ounce gloves. We want 8-ounce. So we want to know what decision you're gonna make. Are you gonna do 8-ounce or 10-ounce? I want it 8. I want to go at it straight up.
Oh, 8?
We want the danger.
It's already determined. We already got our 8 ounces.
Okay, so we're doing 8.
Are you
Let's
kidding?
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know who we're going to, but we're doing 8-ounce. That's what we get.
Oh, no, 8.
And when fighters with opposite emotional temperatures collide face to face, sparks are inevitable. The near scuffle doesn't just sell drama, it reveals mindset. Ryan looks emotionally charged, mission-driven, almost vibrating with urgency.
I think he's gonna be surprised just how big I am. I've been seeing interviews and everything. He's trying to downplay the size difference. He was trying to say it's because I was wearing Docs, but he was wearing platform Converse. So I think that's the main thing that he's gonna be surprised with. Because I know in a lot of his fights, he builds a lot of momentum by walking, these fighters down, but I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. When he has that presence in front of him.
Barrios, still composed, champion posture, war of words outside, silent calculations inside, and that psychological clash might be more explosive than the punches themselves on fight night.
I see a motivated Ryan, which ultimately is going to make him very dangerous inside the ring. But I see a Barrios who is confident, a Barrios who's coming off a draw with the legendary Manny Pacquiao, which counts for a lot because, trust me, when Ryan hits him and he goes down, he's going to get right back up. So it might be a long night for both guys. It's going to be a fun fight.
And that chaotic weigh-in tension bleeds perfectly into Oscar De La Hoya's preview, because the moment he starts talking about the first bell, butterflies, adrenaline, and intentions colliding, I'm instantly thinking, yeah, this isn't about press conference energy anymore. This is about psychological truth under lights. Oscar literally says Ryan wasn't motivated for the Rolly fight and paid the price. And that hits harder than any highlight clip, because that's a legend basically diagnosing mindset failure, not skill failure.
I think a lot of things went wrong in his camp. Just wasn't focused right from the start. When the fight was maybe being negotiated to the final bell, he just wasn't there psychologically. I don't think he wanted that fight. I don't think he was motivated to fight Rollies.
Then he flips and says he now sees a motivated Ryan, and that's where the danger spikes in my mind. Because a focused version of a naturally explosive puncher is a completely different equation than a distracted one. But he doesn't let Barrios get overshadowed either. He keeps reminding us Barrios is confident, coming off a draw with Pacquiao. And I'm nodding like, that experience alone builds a different kind of durability. Oscar even warns that when Ryan hits him and drops him, Barrios is the type to get back up, which low-key sounds like a subtle prediction of a war instead of a quick finish. And when he calls this a do-or-die fight for Ryan, that line crashes into everything we've heard all camp about redemption, focus, and pressure.
A living legend in Pacquiao, and didn't lose. Took the draw. I think that gives him more confidence. We're not going to see the Barrios that we saw with Pacquiao. We're going to see a whole new, improved, stronger, faster, better Barrios because of the Pacquiao fight. So yeah, Ryan better be in the best shape of his life. He better be, stay focused, in control, and take care of business.
Then he adds the psychological layer about trainers and opposite corners and mind games. And suddenly this fight feels less like speed versus discipline and more like composure versus chaos management. I also caught how he says Barrios is predictable but determined while Ryan is the unpredictable variable. And that contrast is exactly why this matchup feels volatile instead of straightforward. One man is structure, the other is momentum swings. Oscar keeps repeating, whoever wants it more. And honestly, that sounds simple on paper, but in a fight where one guy is rebuilding his mental identity and the other is defending his championship pride, that hunger question becomes the entire storyline hiding behind the punches.
It's a matter of putting it together. It's a matter of having the love for the sport once again. Remember what got you here. Don't remember where you're gonna go. Remember what got you here. So I see a Ryan that's focused. I see a Ryan that's determined. I see a Ryan that really wants it. So I think come February fight night, it's gonna be a very, very intense fight for both guys.
And that reflective, almost philosophical tone we just heard about lessons and discipline suddenly snaps into a completely different energy the moment Ryan starts talking here. Because now he's not sounding like a man rebuilding. He's sounding like a man convinced the storm phase is over and the championship phase is loading. When Ryan says all those past camps, trainer switches, and chaos shaped his character, I instantly read that as him rewriting his own narrative in real time. Like he's framing every misstep as necessary seasoning instead of damage. And honestly, that mindset can be either elite maturity or elite self-belief depending on what shows up on fight night. Then he casually says he rededicated himself to diet, discipline, and sacrifice. And I'm thinking, okay, that lines up perfectly with the sharper, calmer version we've been seeing in camp footage. Not the overactive highlight-chasing Ryan, but a more surgical one. But the moment he says Barrios won't be able to handle the speed and that punches are coming from everywhere, that's the classic Ryan confidence returning.
How have you envisioned yourself winning the fight on Saturday?
Oh man, I just want to be sharp. I just want to show people how sharp I am. When you put pressure on yourself, it kind of sometimes you force things. So I think
are you feeling like, are you putting pressure on yourself?
No, I'm just saying, like, if you try to predict what you want or like envision how it should be, you kind of get too,
like in your head about it. Yeah.
I'm just here and you're gonna see me fight my best I can fight.
And let's be real, Speed has always been his cheat code when he's mentally dialed in. What really caught my attention though is when he flat out says Barrios brings nothing he hasn't seen before. That's bold, maybe too bold, because overlooking a durable champion is historically a risky habit in boxing. And then the conversation suddenly jumps to Shakur and boom, the intensity spikes. Ryan talking about beating him, humbling him, taking away that savant aura, and that's not just future talk, that's psychological positioning. He's speaking like a man who already sees himself as champion before the belt is even in his hands. Meanwhile, he critiques Tio's chaos in camp while subtly implying his own camp is now structured, which is ironic considering that Chaos label followed him for years. That contradiction is fascinating. Calm tone, aggressive vision, spiritual framing, and savage confidence all colliding in one interview. And if that internal alignment he keeps hinting at is real, not promotional energy, then this version of Ryan isn't chasing moments anymore. He's chasing validation, and that's a far more dangerous motivation than hype.
What's one thing you think that Mario is going to be like super surprised from you on the night of the fight or is not expecting from you?
I just don't think he's going to be able to expect that these punches coming from everywhere, to be real. I just don't think he'll be able to handle my speed. But, you know, when you're in there, we'll see. But he's just not going to be able to keep up with me. It's just point blank period.
Yeah. And on the flip, is there something that you feel he brings that you've never seen before in a fight?
Nah.
Nothing at all?
Absolutely not, no.
Height, size?
Nothing.
Reach? Nothing?
But that surge of confidence Ryan is projecting suddenly meets a completely different tone into this inside-the-ring breakdown. Because the moment Max Kellerman says Ryan is unusually talented but gives Rocky III before Clubber Lang vibes, I immediately pause like that's not a compliment wrapped in nostalgia. That's a warning dressed as a movie reference. Max is basically saying the talent is elite, the optics are questionable, and in boxing, optics eventually get audited by punches. Then Mike drops that bomb about Ryan admitting he didn't even want to be in the Rolly fight and knew he was overweight and mentally off. And suddenly the narrative shifts from inconsistency to self-awareness, which is actually more dangerous than blind confidence. But Gabe Rosado, cutting straight to he lacks discipline, hits like a veteran reality check. And I can't ignore how he contrasts that with Barrios being disciplined, steady, almost boring in demeanor, which in championship fights translates to terrifying reliability.
But are we worried even if Barrios isn't Clubber Lang? Cop, let's start with you.
You have to be a little worried, Max. I mean, we saw what Rolly Romero, Shady's favorite, did to Ryan Garcia last May in Times Square. You know, Ryan was like a deer in the headlights, and I was actually with Ryan at his training camp in Calabasas on Thursday. Ryan said, look, when I fought Rolly, I didn't even want to be there. I had a really high mountain to climb. I knew I was 30 pounds overweight. I hadn't fought in a year. I was coming off suspension. He said, I knew I was going to lose.
When you put your eyes on him, do you see unusual talent, speed and power?
Absolutely, but it's just he lacks the discipline.
Right.
And when you're fighting a guy like Barrios who is disciplined, he's a little boring. I mean, Barrios really doesn't, he's not charismatic or nothing like that. He's not like Ryan, but he's disciplined.
Meanwhile, the panel keeps circling the influencer lifestyle versus fight-focused debate, and I'm sitting here thinking, that's the real psychological subplot. Content creator energy outside the ring versus pressure-tested composure inside it. Then Shady hints Ryan might be tricking people with those casual training clips, and honestly, that theory is wild but believable because Ryan has always blurred spectacle and preparation. But the sharpest technical point comes when they talk about fundamentals, jab, conditioning, and how Barrios doesn't need flashy speed, just a rugged, uncomfortable fight. That's a nightmare style for a rhythm-based puncher. And when they say if Ryan is even 80% of himself, Barrios could struggle, yet still warn about discipline and comfort training with his dad, you can feel the contradiction stacking up. Elite talent versus elite consistency. Explosiveness versus structure. One fighter is a physical anomaly with volatile momentum. The other is a disciplined champion built for long nights. And that tension alone makes this matchup feel less like a talent contest and more like a psychological exam under bright lights.
And he has Goose in his corner for this fight, which is going to add a lot to Barrios because he knows the errors that Ryan makes. He knows Ryan personally. So that's a plus for Barrios. It's dangerous for Ryan.
Well, one thing about Ryan Garcia that we all know is that he's always trying to trick somebody. So he might show videos in the kitchen with his dad, YouTubers, this, that, but he might really be training. And I've been talking to Ryan, and Ryan seems focused. His weight's on the right, like Mike just talked about. And I think he's hungry.
So when you step back and connect all the dots, the near chaos at the weigh-in, Oscar talking about motivation and psychological truth, Ryan rewriting his narrative as a reborn, disciplined fighter, and the inside the ring panel, basically questioning whether talent can override consistency, this fight stops looking like a simple speed versus size matchup and starts feeling like a full psychological audit under stadium lights. You've got Ryan entering with urgency, redemption energy, and that sharp confidence saying he's the fastest, sharpest version of himself, while Barrios is moving like a composed champion who isn't reacting to noise, only preparing for impact. One side is emotional ignition, the other is structural calm. One is momentum, the other is method. And that contrast is dangerous because fights like this are rarely decided by highlights. They're decided by who stays mentally stable when the plan gets punched in the face. If the disciplined, calm, locked-in Ryan truly shows up, his explosiveness can absolutely tilt the fight in dramatic fashion.
Coming from the fight with Devin Haney, right, and that didn't go the right way for him, right, he got suspended, etc. Then you fight Rolly, who most people bet their life savings on that he would win that fight and he lost. He's got to come back and look good and win. I think Ryan knows that.
What do you think when you see him posting those videos? You've been in the game a long time. You're a throwback Philly fighter.
I go by consistency. And when you look how you looked against Rolly, and then this is what you're doing for the next camp, man, it just doesn't make sense.
But if the chaos creeps back in even slightly, Barrios' consistency, durability, and championship composure could slowly turn this into a long, uncomfortable night. That's why this doesn't feel predictable. It feels volatile, tense, and psychologically loaded from bell one. Drop your take in the comments. Let's really talk about it. And yo, don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one.